I remember the day I hit rock bottom. I was sitting alone in my small rented room, staring at the same cracked wall I had seen for years, bills scattered on the floor, my phone buzzing with messages I couldn't answer, because deep down I was tired. Tired of pretending everything was okay. Tired of saying, "One day things will change." That night, something inside me snapped. I looked at myself in the mirror and whispered, "What happened to your dreams?" There was a time I wanted more. Not just money, but freedom. The kind of life where I could wake up and choose what to do, where to go, who to be. But somewhere along the way, life swallowed me whole. I stopped believing I could change. Until one day, I found a book, a dusty old copy of Think and Grow Rich. I didn't know it then, but those pages were about to change everything. The first thing it said shook me. Thoughts are things. I didn't understand it at first. How could a thought change anything? But then I realized, every success, every invention, every dream, it all begins in someone's mind. Someone dared to imagine what others thought was impossible. There was a story about a man named Edwin Barnes who wanted to work with Thomas Edison. He had no money, no education, no connections. But he had one thing, a burning desire. He believed so deeply that he would work with Edison, that he traveled miles just to meet him. People laughed at him. But years later, he became Edison's partner. That story lit a fire inside me. I realized my thoughts were weak, my belief was fragile. I was living on hope, not purpose. So that night, I wrote one sentence on a piece of paper. I will change my life, no matter what it takes. From that moment, everything shifted. I started to see that success doesn't begin with luck. It begins with a decision, and that decision must burn inside you like a flame that refuses to die. But desire alone isn't enough. You need faith, not just faith in something out there, but faith in yourself. There were days I wanted to quit, when my plans failed, when my efforts went unnoticed, when people told me, "You're wasting your time." But every time I fell, I reminded myself, if you don't believe in your dream, no one else will. That faith became my armor, and slowly my fear began to fade. Then came the hardest lesson, action. I used to wait for the perfect time, for the right opportunity, for the stars to align. But perfection never came. So I stopped waiting and started building. I took one small step, then another, then another. At first, it didn't feel like much, but action builds momentum, and momentum changes everything. I realized what Napoleon Hill meant when he wrote, "Don't wait. The time will never be just right." So I stopped dreaming and started doing. And when I failed, I learned. When I was rejected, I grew. Every mistake became a lesson. Every setback, a sign that I was still in the fight. There was one quote that haunted me. You become what you think about. So I started reprogramming my mind. Every morning, I told myself, I am capable. I am worthy. I will succeed. At first, it felt fake, but day by day, those words sank deeper. They started to feel real. They started to become me. That's when I discovered the power of imagination. I began to see the life I wanted, the home, the freedom, the peace. I closed my eyes and lived it before it existed. And soon, my mind started pulling me toward it. The book called Imagination, The Workshop of the Mind. It's true. Everything you see around you, the lights, the roads, the cities, once existed in someone's imagination. So I began to imagine my own success and act on it every single day. But imagination without knowledge is blind. So I learned. I read. I watched. I studied those who were already where I wanted to be. Not everything, just what mattered. That's what Hill called specialized knowledge. You don't need to know everything. You just need to know what gets you closer to your dream. And when you do, the universe starts opening doors you never knew existed. Still, there was one final key I had to master: persistence. That was the real test. Because no matter how much you believe, no matter how hard you work, there will be days when nothing seems to move. Days when you'll question if it's worth it. Days when the world seems silent. But that's when persistence speaks loudest. That's when you keep going, not because you see results, but because you believe they're coming. I started waking up earlier, working harder, failing faster, and little by little, results began to appear. The small wins became big ones. The broken dreams turned into real goals. And one day, I realized I was no longer the same person. I didn't just rethink and grow rich. I lived it. Now, whenever someone asks me how I turned my life around, I tell them this. It wasn't a secret. It wasn't luck. It was a choice. A decision to change my thoughts, my actions, and my beliefs, and never give up. You see, success isn't something you chase. It's something you become. And once you become it, it follows you everywhere. So, if you're watching this right now feeling lost, tired, or stuck, I want you to remember this. Your dream is still alive. It's waiting for you to believe again. Because the moment you do, the world will start to move in your favor.